Hello, YouTube. Jimjamatic here. Welcome to Heat B of Series 2, of every Robot Wars episode reviewed. This week is quite a good week for the Heat, and I have a returning special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
Hey everybody, I'm Masterath, and I'm actually prepared this time. So, hooray!
It's always nice to be prepared.
Oh yes, it is.
It's been a while since I've had you, but it's nice to have you back on again.
Yep. Just
And
gonna be a sort of like not all the time kind of thing. So
oh
that's
yeah, I mean, I understand people have lives. I haven't got one, so
uh,
I'm
uh,
here every week.
all I'm doing is rupturing my own liver. So don't worry, that's all I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I'll make a slight disclaimer before the episode starts. I'll try to reduce the clips in this one this time because I seem to get a few copyright things on the previous episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems to be like 20 seconds for some reason is like too much for them. But anything under that is like, oh, it's fine.
Like BBC just they go, stop showing stuff from our robot wars.
It wasn't actually BBC. I think it was something called Passion Entertainment or something.
Passion, stop using stuff from our robot. I tell you what, bloody Passion. I'm gonna Google them right now while you do the intro.
Well, yeah, this is the kind of thing. Yeah, so this heat is actually special to me in some ways because it's actually the first heat I ever saw of the entire series. I'm that old school. Because I missed out the first heat and I was so annoyed. But looking at the last review, I clearly didn't really care that I missed it. But did you see Series 2 when it first came out, or were you later on in the series?
No, I was series 3 actually when it
3. Oh,
started.
yeah, I think Anderson and Sam were the same as well.
Yeah, so
I'm the only one out
that's
of
the
us.
first I saw of it, but
I'm the only one out of us four that's actually seen it from Series 2 onwards.
yeah,
That's probably why I like Series 2, actually. That's probably the reason
fair
why.
enough. Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, this heat's not a bad heat. It's better than last week's, I'll say that much.
mm.
But yeah, not just some okayish robots in this one, and I guess we should probably start going through them. I guess really.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? That is the point of the review.
Exactly.
And the first one we start with Heat Winner, of course, and it is a Robot Wars veteran we've seen in a few. We'll see in a few series. This is their first appearance. It is Mace,
Yep,
the shopping trolley with a lifting arm, basically, with a flail that doesn't do any damage.
pretty much. Yeah, chaos with no plastic kind of thing.
Indeed, and it's kind of funny because I remember obviously I've watched this quite a few times, but for some reason I never really noticed until a few viewings ago that it is very boxy,
Mm.
like almost a perfect square of a robot.
Yeah, and you'd think so. Like a perfect square robot with a weapon that lifts is, something in Robot Wars nowadays that would never happen.
Oh God, no, no, a box would never happen. That's not a ramming.
That's true.
But
It's got to have like some sort of form of wedge on it or
oh
something.
yeah, indeed, it does have sort of a wedge Mace, but I think the biggest problem with this series Mace compared to Series Three's Mace 2 is the fact that the wedge doesn't actually touch the ground as often
Mm.
as it should. I mean, to its credit, Mace 2 did actually have a lifter that touched the ground. This one seems to lift sort of slightly off the ground at times.
I think sort of like the biggest problem sort of with obviously robots in Series 2 was we'll talk about it in sort of like another robot later, but sort of like robots with wedges, it would be perfect. Series 2 was sort of like a perfect time to have a wedge.
Hmm.
But a lot of them had such high ground clearance even at the front that
Yeah, it made the wedges completely useless. Even robots that had decent wedges like Cassius still occasionally lifted the robot up on the floor.
mm,
Whilst I think Roblox probably one of the most perfect wedges of the first early series
yeah, and
because
that's like
it never went you never got a gap underneath at any point.
yeah, that's like all it had. It was a great robot roadblock and everything, but my god was it slow.
Actually, to its credit, Onslaught's wedge was on the runs on the ground.
That's true.
It's one of the few wedges that I think people forget about Onslaught. But yeah,
Onslaught's one of those robots I think that just full stop that a lot of us just randomly forget about.
it's
Oh yeah,
it's never really performed that well. That's probably the reason. I mean, Series 4, it broke down, so it didn't even get to appear. It only appeared in the Southern Annihilator,
yeah,
which is a shame because actually, from its appearance, it could have done a decent job in the heat.
it could have, yeah. But
But it's one of the way things go, really.
yeah, going back to Mace 2 and stuff though, and it's just like about it being like a box shape and whatever, and you don't see many box shapes that aren't rammers. And it's like, yeah, we're not all Minotaur, you know. And then if you are Minotaur, blacksmith's going down. But
But yeah,
that's a different series altogether. So
yeah. But as a first attempt at a robot, Mace isn't actually that bad, really. I
yeah,
mean,
well,
it's pretty stable compared to some
yeah.
robots I've seen in this series.
To be honest, especially in the heat, when it comes to robot damage, it definitely did the most damage, in my opinion.
Oh, it was definitely very aggressive as well,
Yeah,
and it at least deserved its place in the semi-finals.
yeah. I mean,
It's yeah, it's just one of those robots. It's like it was a good first attempt, but I think the second one in Series 3 definitely, while it didn't really change physically, it
mm,
definitely got a bit better with the weapon and all that kind of stuff. So it's more effective.
yeah. A lot of people would argue, sort of like, oh, Mace only got through because of George Francis's memory, but we'll
Partially
get onto
true.
that. We'll get onto that later.
That is partially true, but at the same time, it was more aggressive at the beginning, and
Yeah,
clearly it wasn't as it did a bit better overall.
yeah.
But yeah, Mace is just one of those robots. It's just again, it's sort of nostalgic to me because it's the first robot I technically ever saw
Mm.
because it's the first one you see and it's the first one that wins. So that was
Can I just mention, by the way, I didn't notice this until looking back at it
go
for
on.
this review. Just when they're introducing the robots, Craig Charles is just standing there above them.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Clarkson did the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I always noticed that, even when I was a little kid. I noticed it when I first watched his
Yeah,
first heat. I was like, why is he staring at them?
yeah. I just didn't notice it, and I'm just there, just like Craig Charles, just looking at Gawkins, just like,
Yeah, because occasionally I'd also stare at the little team in the box driving it out.
yeah.
They'll be there as well.
It's like just Craig Charles there going, I'm going to wait for my cue for my mention about David running away. I don't know, pissing himself or something. I don't know. Whatever he would have said. He just said crying home to his mummy. So great.
Definitely. But I think we covered Mace for now. I think
Yeah.
there's a few things later on, obviously. But now the runner-up, which is one of the two veterans in this heat, and the predecessor to Carnage ensued in the next series, but unfortunately not as good in this series. Chaos. There's no two there. It is just Chaos.
Just the ordinary chaos, and
Just
it
Chaos
yeah,
original.
exactly. And until sort of like obviously I started watching Robot Wars in Series 3. So I knew there was a chaos, or I could tell there was a chaos
Hmm.
because you had things like Plunderbirds and Firestorms going up to like 5.
Yeah.
So there must have been like one somewhere.
Hmm.
But obviously I didn't see it until obviously the lovely birth of the internet and all the stuff going around and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That you've been able to find Chaos, and Chaos is a nice looking robot, to be honest. It fits for Series 2, but if it was, let's say, put in Series 3 alongside Chaos 2, it would not fit
Oh,
whatsoever.
definitely not.
Like,
You can see the resemblance to Chaos 2 where we went from there.
mm,
Because it's got the two-wheel drive, it's got the lifter at the front, it's sort of the similar shape in some ways. It's like you can sort of see where it came from, but at the same time, Chaos is definitely his least successful robot because obviously it didn't make it's the only one that didn't make it to a semi-final at least once.
yeah.
Because obviously you were there for actually you're there coincidentally for Robot the Bruce's heat, weren't you?
I think I just like George Francis's heats.
You must, and I guess there's nothing wrong
Same
with
for
that.
Series 3 for Chaos 2's heat.
He tends to have good heats usually. Because Chaos 2 is usually in it. Yeah, Chaos it was again another lifter that doesn't always lift to the ground
Mm.
necessarily, and
Wasn't it sort of known as sort of like more sort of like a lifting blade instead of a
more of a
wrench?
blade than an actual lifter. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean its biggest problem, I think. Thankfully, he improved it with Chaos 2, but I think with Chaos, its biggest problem was driving it because he switched from four wheels to two wheels, and you can tell it was a bit harder for him to get it right first time.
Well, obviously, Chaos was a lot
Fast.
faster of a robot than Robot the Bruce was. Robot the Bruce had the pushing power and everything, which, in my opinion, like the two other forms of Chaos didn't have.
Hmm.
At least not much of pushing power. I mean, they could flip and they could get underneath and push that way, but in like a full-on shove contest,
Oh, they usually lost. Yeah.
yeah.
It was definitely a powerful, quick, but not very reliable robot when it comes to taking damage too much.
Mm.
Because it happens in the World Championship, it happens in a few other contests where they do take decent damage and it kind of affects them quite badly.
Yeah.
And Chaos was definitely it's a good first start to where eventually became a two-time reigning champion and then twice semi-finalist semi-finalist as well.
The
That
most successful robot in Robot Wars, in my opinion,
possibly, yeah. I mean, it's
I would say.
definitely. Yeah. It's obviously it's won the most. It's the only one that's actually won two series
Exactly.
consecutively as well, which is even more
Yeah.
impressive. It's just it's much more reliable than something like Razor or something that took till its fourth appearance to actually do anything.
Yeah, well, Chaos 2's won 25 matches. That's what you got to think.
It's
It's a
got a
lot of
massive ratio,
lot of fights.
it's a lot of fights, and usually the ones it tends to lose in are exhibition matches like World Championships and those kind of things.
Exactly. But in the series, it was very very strong.
Only once failed to get a semi-final, and that was against Dan Tompier, and that's because the gas canister let out air eventually.
Yeah, we'll not talk about that. I don't think.
No, it's a shame, but a legend's got to fall sooner or later. Hell, Tip they just fell in the same series, so
Yeah,
it led to Series 7 with a lot more new robots and robots that got more of a chance, which I guess is a positive.
and annoying producers, but
That is true.
We'll
That
get
is
to that
true.
when Series 7 comes along.
That is a while off, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
wonder
Chaos.
who's going to be doing that. Who's going to be special guest for the final of that?
Oh,
Jeez.
I'm sure there'll be someone. I'm sure
Oh,
there'll be
it's
someone.
going to be horrible.
Oh, I don't think people want to do it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, at least
Just ignore it.
yeah. I mean, Chaos. It's a good start. It's not the best robot, obviously, but it at least deserved a heat final. It was
Yeah.
worthy enough for that.
It definitely deserved its heat final.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Now a robot, another veteran of this, one of the only two veterans that appeared in the series, which didn't impress me as much compared to Chaos naturally. Leviathan. Leviathan, and I will say actually, design-wise, I actually kind of like the design of Leviathan.
I do like the look of
It's a
Leviathan.
massive bulldozer. Just kind of,
Exactly.
it's just a great little. Also, and actually, one thing I quite liked about it that's quite unique is it actually has a wheel underneath, a fifth wheel that can make it spin on the spot, like you have a 0 to returning circle. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Having that kind of ingenuity and having the chainsaw didn't do anything, but the scoop was pretty useless. It didn't do anything.
Yeah. But it's all like if you're looking at the chronology of the heats, it was Behemoth before Behemoth was.
Pretty much. That's kind of sad, really, because Behemoth was not very good in this series, in my opinion.
Oh, Behemoth looked awful.
Even though it made a semi-final, made it to the battles of the semi-finals,
Yeah.
I still don't consider it a good robot, and it's the only time it ever made a semi-final, which is sad.
Yeah, that version.
That's
that
the one. Not the improved version of every other series. No, that one.
No, the original one, the original Behemoth from Series 2, and it looked disgusting. It looked horrible.
It did, but we'll get to that. So that's a few heats time.
That's Heat D. So
I think Anson's coming out. I think Anson's in that one.
Anderson, good luck.
Good luck. I think it has
it should have been Sam.
Oh, it has Elvis.
Robot.
It has Elvis and Razor in it. Oh man.
Oh, no wonder he wants to do that heat.
He wants to do it, but
oh god,
got in there too early.
I'll tell you what, you need to dumb down. He needs to dumb down his microphone to like 5% for that.
I mean,
he'll be shouting a lot.
But back to Leviathan, they got very lucky. Unlike Leebot, which was actually kind of steady throughout the heat and then just kind of failed at the end, here they barely got into the arena.
Yeah.
And then would have been the third robot in this series not to make it to the Gauntlet. And then when they make it in there, they can't even get past some barrels, which I was very surprised about.
Sorry, barrels, like.
Well,
Coca-Cola cans.
Yeah, how did they not get past this thing? They had a massive scoop, and they just started attacking it with a chainsaw. I was like, what are you doing? Just go forwards.
Yeah, the fact that I love about those, well, you can't see me right now, but I'm putting giant air quotes, barrels, is that you can see they're not barrels.
They call them barrels. That's why I want to call them.
But at the top of them, they've got, like, the openage like you got on beer cans. Right?
As well be.
Yeah, have a look at it. It's like, they got like little dents in them and stuff like that. And it's like, come on. It's like that one thing. The wall was good in the trials, but those cans, ugh.
Yeah.
Not barrels, they're cans.
I mean,
cans.
Leviathan's probably one of the luckiest robots in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, in the Gauntlet stage, anyway, we'll get to that. Why they were very lucky, but at least in the trials, you got to give them credit. They had a lot of strength on that robot.
Yeah, well, 4 wheels, so it would have definitely helped.
It's very surprising. Imagine Mace managed to do the same thing, and then you had 2 wheels.
Yeah,
and casters.
Yeah, well, obviously, really, when it comes to the trial tug of war, there was a weak robot in there.
There was, and it was quite a little bit of inconsistencies with the trials, which comes with Series 2, unfortunately.
Just a tad.
Just a tad. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, yeah, Leviathan overall, it's not the best. I kind of wish they'd come back a third series. Make a, kind of more of a sleek version, like a little more of a wedge-shaped one or something, but...
Well, at the moment, they're converting Leviathan into an autonomous snowplow, so it's...
That makes sense.
So, it's yeah, fair play to them, and let's hope to... I just love it, just Leviathan just goes across my house at some point.
Yeah, and even though it was...
my driveway.
I failed to mention this, actually, in the last series, when they came as Leebot. I just kind of love the fact that one of the team members is called Robin Williams.
Mm.
Oh man, that's brilliant. Let's just imagine him driving. I don't know why, that'd be weird to me. I can't take a picture in my head now of him dressed as like Patch Adams,
He's
just
got
driving. I don't
he's
know.
got
That'll make me laugh for some reason.
he's got to come out of his lamp first.
Oh, of course he does. Yes, of course. But yeah, I think that's Leviathan covered.
Mm.
There's not too much going on with Leviathan. It just looks good, but didn't really perform
Yeah.
as it should have. And now, as technically a pioneer of the Axle bot, is the next robot, which not the best start for an Axle bot, unfortunately, but it's interesting. Wheel-asaurus.
Yeah.
Now this thing has 100-year-old, well, just over 100 years now, Victorian pram wheels and dustbin lids for the wheels. Uh, I don't know what this thing's really supposed to be. Really, it's sort of just I'll go in and see what happens type robot.
It's a heat semi-finalist. That's what it is.
Somehow this. I mean, in fairness, it did well in the Gauntlet. I'll give it credit. It actually
Mhm.
managed to. Actually, one thing I was quite impressed in the Gauntlet was the fact that the little spikes on it actually got it over the barrels where it got stuck.
Yeah,
It
it
actually
got
lifted
Sergeant
itself
Bash
over.
too.
Oh, it got yeah. That's point. That's one of the crowning achievements of the whole series. Is actually managed to take out Sergeant Bash like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, only Panic Attack I think is the only robot that's disabled Sergeant Bash in some way.
To be
It,
honest, it wasn't that difficult since probably Sergeant Bash was the weakest of the house robots.
but considering this is one of the weakest robots that did it,
That's true.
that's saying something. I don't know. It's like I don't know, Crazy Coop 88 in the new series taking out Sir Killalot.
That's true.
I'm not saying it'd be one that is out of all the robots you think maybe Pulsar or TR2 or Apollo, but no, it's no okay that one.
Nuts.
Nuts. Oh yeah, nuts. That'd be even funnier. Yeah.
But as obviously I was also the guest commentator for the Heat A of the 2016 series. Love Nuts completely.
Oh, I love nuts as well.
And
Can't
obviously,
deny
yeah,
it.
Dave Laurie came on for a few
Oh, he did. Yes.
for a few commentaries as well. So yeah, but yeah, trying to see Nuts beat Killer would be fun.
It'd be hilarious.
It'd be hilarious, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, it'd be like Wheel-asaurus beating Sergeant Bash. That's what Wheel-asaurus did. So
It was what makes me laugh about that is when you watch it, it looks like a complete accident.
it probably was.
Yeah, I mean, Wheelosaurus just had bashes around anyway. It was sort of flailing around when the two robots started attacking it, and they just went on. It just hugged Sergeant Bash and broke it off.
I mean, there are ways you can damage or humiliate house robots, which involve skill.
And
Like, for example, Gravity and Growler, Chaos 2, and everyone in the series final of Series 3.
yeah,
And then there's Wheelosaurus, who just got a bit lucky.
yeah, pretty much.
And I'm going to put Firestorm and Mr. Psycho in that category as well.
I'd also
Just
put
a tad.
Groundhog and Sir Kill a lot,
Yes.
and that wasn't killing him. That was overbalancing him.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But that's a later heat actually. I think actually in that heat as well. Actually, I think you're in Cassie's heat. Yeah. So we have to cover another chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos ensuing there.
should we mention also technically, I don't know if it was the American rule, so you count as Tricerabot, who had a go at Kill a lot as well. Sorry, people just love when I do that, like American commentator's voice, because I could do it so well.
I love hearing it. Don't worry.
Pitch perfect.
Pitch perfect.
I'll just commentate on it for this review for the rest of the review in that voice.
Oh god.
So we got next. We got Death Track, I believe. No wait, it's Tantrum. It's Tantrum, I believe would be next.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're on Tantrum now. Okay.
Well, yeah. Have we got anything else to say about Wheelosaurus?
I was going to say the only thing I think that's significant about Wheelosaurus is quite funny how they came back in Series 4, like Killatron, without any improvements apart from a tiny little spinning flail at the front.
Yeah.
And they did just as well, and they're in the same heat for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like looking at a living fossil, those things.
Pretty much, yeah.
But and the only other thing about Wheelosaurus is actually even closely interesting is the fact that the guy who created it, Peter Gibson, was originally part of Whirling Dervish, I reckon. I think he's actually listed as part of the group, but I think he made this. This was a reserve robot. I'm not sure why it was reserve robot. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. But obviously, since some of the robot was apparently worse than them, they had to get in. They were allowed in, and I'm kind of glad for it in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it was fun to watch.
Greatest thing since Steve Merrill's brain.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I love Steve Merrill. Love Steve Merrill.
Awesome.
But yeah, since that segue before was so subtle, we have Tantrum, the box with triangular wheels on the front of it for some reason. Apparently, it's supposed to have tracks originally, so that's why.
What happened to them?
Well, I think they took him off because of mobility. They took him off and compromised speed for kind of like strength, and
Mm.
oh, that worked out in the trials, didn't it?
Well, yeah, we got to think of the hairbrush they've got on the front of it.
Oh,
So,
that flail. They call it a flail. It's not a flail. It's I
hair,
don't know what it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's like a hairbrush.
it's a hairbrush. Trust me, I used to have long hair. I've used enough of those to know what one is.
Oh wow.
So it's
Actually, they do have a sequel robot later on, T2, which
yeah,
just stands for
T2.
Tantrum 2, and yeah, they are involved in possibly the most controversial decisions ever in the entire series. Funnily enough, but they're not really too controversial in this series. It was quite disappointing actually in the trials for them because I think they did well in the Gauntlet.
Yeah,
Probably one of the cleanest runs ever in the Gauntlet was by Tantrum.
yeah. Well,
And
in
then,
my opinion, I think he got very unlucky in the tug of war,
oh,
personally.
definitely. I mean, we'll get to it later, but there is a slight inconsistency between
Yeah,
them and Wheel-asaurus of who should have gone,
yeah.
who shouldn't. But the other three obviously were fine, but it's this one
It,
that was, yeah.
yeah, it got very unlucky. Personally, I'd have loved to have seen Tantrum in the semi-finals
It'd
over.
been something at least. I mean, it would have got to see them actually do something because they probably had a good chance against Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, okay, not with the hairbrush, but you know.
No, but at least let's see what if it would have done anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tantrum's just very unlucky. Really, they seem to be unlucky throughout their entire career. Like this series they get unlucky in the tug of war. Next series they get unlucky with a bad judge decision.
Well, the one with the next series or whatever, it might just be the fact the front of the robot looks like an Octobrock from Legend of Zelda. So,
Maybe.
which it does. I'm looking at a picture of it now, and it's there going.
It has a punk hairstyle. Let's just say that.
It looks like an Octobrock from the look of it.
Octorock.
Octorock, sorry.
Okay.
Octobrock. I'm combining two different Nintendo series there.
Definitely. But yeah, Tantrum's just kind of. It's not the most interesting looking robot, but I think it could have deserved to go a bit further than it did.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with the Gauntlet and Trials, which have been accentuated many times, more so in Series 2 than Series 1, I think. Because in Series 1, half the robots were pretty crap anyway.
That's true.
While Series 2, they were getting a few okayish robots, and they could have maybe done, like Caliban in the last heat. Griffin, Body Hammer, there's probably a few of them. The Penetrator's a decent one. I think they're the ones that come to mind, the ones that could have done okay maybe in the battles.
Yeah,
But
well, it's especially when it comes, Series One trials, fair enough, because obviously there are a lot of stock robots and everything.
yeah,
But yeah, Series Two,
no excuses.
exactly. They could have just gone for like, I don't know if it would have been, I would say, it might have been tough to, have like the radio frequencies in there, but then it's like in Series One they had like the football.
Yeah, so that was fine.
Football, and it was fine.
Yeah, and also actually a lot of the trials were apart from the sumo were all like group based trials,
Yeah,
so it did make a difference really.
yeah, and
But
they could have done that, but they didn't.
yeah,
They decided to go for trials instead.
so yeah, Tantrum very unlucky overall.
Mm.
Seemed to constantly lucky and never got to see him past Series 3 because they didn't qualify for Series 4. I don't think, which is a shame because I would like to see T2 return.
It's TR2 special.
TR2 versus T2.
It was actually defeated at the hands of Tornado.
Oh, that's respectable then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the last robot, man, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Death Track looks like someone had butchered Tantrum for this robot. With two red robots in the same heat is quite weird, like so very similar color scheme.
Yeah.
And then Death Track's got a very strange look to it. It's like they wanted to make it invertible, which they probably succeeded in doing, but it's probably going to get stuck on its side.
All I know is that there's it's a weird looking thing, really.
It's a very strange design for a robot because the spikes aren't really spikes because they go to the grounds. They're more like a wedge. They're not a wedge because they've got a gap in the middle, and they're not crushing claws because they don't move. What are they? What are these? What is this weapon? I don't really understand it exactly. What was its purpose? It's supposed to get under robots. Great.
Yeah.
You have pushing power. It doesn't look like a very strong robot.
Mm.
But to its credit, looks competent at least. Like I think all the robots in this heat look competent at least, apart from maybe Wheel-asaurus arguably. But and it's kind of like then we'll get into the reason why. But they pretty much screwed themselves up in a Gauntlet trial. Possibly the worst example of doing something in a Gauntlet trial possible. Like
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they had the sort of the abilities to at least go really far. At least probably I don't know, maybe tug of war.
maybe I don't know what the power was.
They chose like probably the worst route for a kickoff.
Actually, in fairness, they chose the worst route, but they did all right in the route. And then we'll get to the details, but
Yeah.
they boxed it up quite massively. I mean,
Well, like,
unlike a few robots like Body Hammer, Angel of Death, Cruella, who choose the wrong route and then pay the price, they still did all right and still did really rubbish.
yeah.
And I don't know, it's one of those things really where you just kind of in the moment you wish you'd done something and you did it differently. And I bet they're regretting that for the rest of the time on Robot Wars.
Yeah. All I can say when it comes to Death Track is I think a local Tesco supermarket's losing 2 trolley wheels. They're missing 2 trolley wheels, I'm afraid. They're still trying to find them.
It's a very strange way of. I've said strange a few times with this robot, but it's very strange the way they try to make it invertible. Like, instead of just making it 2 wheels and then have the casters low down inside the box, like Tracy did, they've just made the caster go stick out massively.
Those were casters?
They're supposed to be, like, they are caster wheels.
Yeah, they're giant casters.
They're massive.
That'd be like if major damage needed a caster.
They should have done what, like, Tracy did, make it lower to the ground. Actually, they could have done that. Maybe put a few casters at the back if they want to make 1 with 2 wheels at the front. But yeah, this is a very odd robot to look at. It's very forgettable, and one of those robots people forget about quite easily, and quite obviously quite rightly, because it's not the most interesting robot ever. But yeah, it's just there's something off about the design, and they never came back again. So we never got to see if they tried to improve themselves.
Yeah,
because they never competed again. Like one of those few teams in Series 2, you never even attempted to come back. So it's kind of like, no, yeah, maybe they could have done something different. I have no idea, but as they stand, it's a very confusing robot. And I've got Wheel-asaurus in this heat, and that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Somehow, that's strange when that's the case.
It's a confusing robot. Wheel-asaurus in this heat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, the Gauntlet on the other hand was surprisingly not as much bullshit in this particular Gauntlet. You know why? Because they got rid of the brick wall that no robots can get through.
They replaced them with the cans of death.
The cans, and this is the thing. This is what Anthem was getting.
The empty cans of death, by the way.
Oh, the empty cans of death.
The empty cans of death. Yes.
This was what Anthem was getting at, and I completely agree with him. And this is why stance and why I think the Series 2 Gauntlet was worse. The fact there was the inconsistencies of what was happening where. Like Sentinel was in some heats, wasn't in the others. And in this case, easy to get through cans. Sorry, barrels.
No, you were right first time.
I'm just saying what they call it.
I'm saying what they actually are. They're cans.
I'm just saying what they call them though. Hey, they can call the pit of oblivion. It's a hole. It's just a hole with tires in it. It's not that big deal.
Well, yeah, but that name works, unlike the barrels.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, okay, the cans then. Like they're easy to get through. Brick wall.
Give in to the agony of the cans of death.
The cans are just one layer. It's not like a pile like they were in the Skittles. It's just one layer, so they can just smash them pretty easily. Here, it's like the brick wall is so hard because you get stuck on the bottom layer trying to knock down the top layer. Then they get stuck on top of each other, and you just get, rolls out of control really.
And especially with the brick wall with a robot with low ground clearance, that's pretty much you're making your robot well, but we're going to punish you because of our, it was trying to sort of like promote robots to have like high ground clearance with their wheels, which is a weakness.
But even like even robots like Victor with a high ground clearance, they still got stuck.
Yeah.
So
it's the amount of like bricks they had. You never knew if it was like one brick's gonna get stuck on a robot or like 3 or 4 on top, and they just can't get over it, and they just can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So the cans were a lot easier to get past. And in fairness, at least 4 of the contestants had a decent run through this. I mean, obviously, Mace, Tantrum, and Chaos all completed the Gauntlet.
Yeah, and Wheel-asaurus actually had a good run, so
almost got to the end, really. I mean, 11 odd meters is it's like 12 meters the course, I think. So it's pretty decent. I mean, just getting over the ramp is actually an achievement in this series.
Yeah, did damage to Bash, so
yeah, that was positive. Yeah, I mean, all 3 of the runs. I think Chaos probably had actually Tantrum had a very easy run. Mace had a few problems near the end where they got stuck between. Although pushing the house robot to the very end zone was pretty amazing to see.
Yeah.
That's how much strength. I mean, that was an early on sign of how much strength Mace potentially had.
Yeah, and it was definitely a hint of things to come when it came to the tug of war later as well.
Yeah, and Chaos. Well, I didn't think Chaos would be as strong, but they had you could see George Spencer's having problems driving the thing. It was a bit fast for its own good at times. Bashed straight into the wall as soon as it came out.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fumbled around the barrels for a bit longer. Then finally got onto the ramp, and then eventually because it was fast, able to get past the gap and got through.
Well, to be honest, if he had made it past the cans at least, then yeah.
Well, yeah, that's all they had to do in
easily
this heat.
make it past the cans. That's
Yeah.
it.
No, nobody went through the right hand side, which is quite for a
Hmm.
change.
I
The
think they just saw the cans and sort of like, no, this is easy
They
pickings.
could have just gone into the first pit on the right hand side and been further far, and that's about 5.5 meters
Yeah.
down the course because Wizard did that.
Mm,
That's probably because they couldn't control the thing.
that's true.
Then the two ones that did really terribly, Leviathan, who almost didn't even make it into the arena because of some problem with the circuits or something. I don't know what it was. I'm not that technical. They finally got it moving, and you think after that lucky break, you try and do your best run possible.
Nope.
No, they go into the cans, they barely knock them over, they spin around to get the chainsaw at them, then Sakilot bends the wheels, which is pretty funny, and then just kind of left them there. One of the few times Sakilot picks up a robot and doesn't either push them further back or further forward,
Yeah,
just kind of lifted them up.
or in later series, all they did was like pick up robots, spin around, or pick up Stinger's axle and then lob them out.
Yeah, because Sakilot's such a balanced robot. Uh,
he's like, I like claws, I like spinners, but you, Stinger, no, get out of it.
What are
Get out
you?
of the arena.
Yeah.
He's like the world's like, what's the word I'm looking for? He's like the world's most racist bouncer.
He sort of is.
He's like, flipper robots, you're alright. You're alright. Spinners, axes, you're fine. Pendulum, no, get out. And,
Although
yeah.
you say spinners, but Caliban didn't get it easy. That was his bit early that day, early days. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but he just lobbed them out.
Yeah,
It's like, no, you're not allowed. I mean, yeah, you're still moving, but screw you.
Unfairity for the win.
It's all about me. It's all about Sakei.
Yeah.
Sakei's angry. I'm annoyed at you.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Gauntlet,
Love-
it was very, I don't know. It was sort of like a bit unlucky for Death Track, but also it was unlucky. It was like bad for Death Track. It was both, I'd say.
Yeah, because obviously, if you haven't seen the episode, which I'm surprised you haven't seen the episode yet, for some people who are listening to this, Death Track did one of the stupidest things you can do in a Gauntlet run. Because most people in the Gauntlet, when they lose, they get stuck on the ram rig, they can't get past the brick wall, the house rope pushes them backwards, the bullshit ensues, or in the case of Phoenix and Rocks, you get really far and still don't get through. But in this case,
back on themselves.
they went backwards. You were already about 7 meters down the course. They went, oh, actually, no, I think change of mind, actually. They pulled like a Prometheus. Went, I'm going backwards this time. But unlike Prometheus, who had a really crap heat to begin with, of like there was these two of the robots that were worse than them. They still, thought, oh, we'll go back. And then they actually regretted it and went started trying to go forwards again. And that was the reason they lost by 30 centimeters.
I think Death Track left the oven on, so it was like, damn, maybe I've left the oven on. Go backwards.
It's sort of like when you panic and you think you've done. You have to go. Do I go this way? No. Okay. And you finally go that way and you realize it's too late. If they just kept going forwards, there's nothing worse in the Gauntlet than going backwards to try and swing. It's such a risky, especially how much time you have and how crap the Gauntlet is. To risk going back and going another way is a very risky move.
Yeah.
And there are a few robots. The only robot that actually managed to do this successfully was Dreadnought. Who they tried the brick wall, they failed at it, and then decided to go down the sort of straight path and made it to the end zone. And Prometheus sort of did it, but they didn't get very far. But they were just lucky, they had other robots that were worse than them. Imagine Prometheus is slightly more pathetic because unlike Dreadnought, who couldn't get past a brick wall, which is fair enough, half the robots couldn't. Prometheus just couldn't go up a ramp. Pretty pathetic.
But yeah, when it comes to Death Track though, it's it's the Gauntlet. It's all about how far you can get. So really, going back, unless it's to get a better run up or turn your robot around at least a little bit, so you can go even further, that's fine. But you see robots did that all the time in the in some of the Gauntlets. But to go back that far to the point that Leviathan actually goes past, which was kind of not just it, let's say.
Yeah.
But still, if they'd stayed there, they'd have gone through.
Yeah, I think they would have benefited, obviously, if the Leviathan had gone first. Because if they'd gone first before Death Track, like they've been working when they should have been, and they got that performance, and they've done the same performance, and probably Deathtrap be like, we'll just keep going forward as far as possible. While they thought
Exactly.
maybe they thought Leviathan weren't even going to make it in,
Mm.
so maybe they thought maybe got a bit of leeway. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do
Yeah.
that, but there you go.
But yeah, no, in my opinion, I still think it's sort of like you should never underestimate any robots.
No,
And you should never underestimate any house robot that may just accidentally shove them a bit further than where you ended up.
that's what happened to Cruella.
Yeah.
They really regretted going one way, and then started trying to. As soon as they wanted to double back, Sakella had them, and they couldn't move anywhere. And they got the second worst Gauntlet run of the series, I think. So that's all. 1.9 meters, I think they got.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah,
I'm
Caliban's.
taller than that.
Yeah,
By much, but still.
I'm getting there. But I might stand on this table. I might get that height then. But yeah, Death Tracks, because of their stupidity and lack of foresight, decided to go backwards, and as a result, were eliminated. Never saw them again. That is the tale of Death Track.
And that is the tale of Test. Tell
Yeah.
us it again.
Now the trials, again, it's sort of a similar story. How there is a bit more of a controversy in this particular one, but in the same way, 3 of the robots performed decently well. Well,
Hmm.
to the point, well, I wouldn't say decently. Chaos actually pulled Dead Metal in.
Yeah,
The
but
only
Mace and Leviathan really well.
Mace and Leviathan. I was surprised more about Mace than Leviathan because it's a 2-wheeled robot,
Mm.
and it got casters and it doesn't look that stable. And you think, oh no, but then nope, it was fine. Leviathan made sense with 4 wheels. It had a lot of grip,
Yeah.
a lot of stamina. Chaos surprised me even more because I didn't realize how much power that tiny little robot had.
Mm.
And then it just pulls them in. It's like so great. It's so amazing. The only time a house robot got defeated in the tug of war, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Every other time they survived or got beaten. And then the biggest problem came with these two. Right now,
Yeah.
Tantrum came first, which is always daunting, and then they get a not a very good time, admittedly. About was it 16 seconds? More?
Yeah,
It wasn't.
right.
It's all right, but obviously in this particular heat, it was not good enough. If they were in another heat, then
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, if they'd gone out first, let's say, it'd be like you lasted 16 seconds. It'd be like that's a decent score.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
But
all relative.
it was in such a good heat with such grippy robots.
You say that.
Okay, and Wheel-asaurus.
This Wheel-asaurus, and this is the problem, right? Actually, initially, to its credit, Wheel-asaurus was doing all right in the first 10 seconds. It was actually surprisingly not a move. It was actually, I was surprised how all right Wheel-asaurus was performing at first stage because Dead Metal was pulling, and they were staying where they were.
But then Wheel-asaurus broke down.
Around the 10-second mark, yeah, Wheel-asaurus cut out, and you could tell that Wheel-asaurus had stopped moving. And Dead Metal decided to hold on for a few more seconds and then pulled them in.
Because there was no tension. Because Wheel-asaurus was just wheeling backwards.
Oh yeah, you could tell, and
Pete
Peter
Gibson.
Gibson.
No tension in the rope.
And Peter Gibson was sort of like, it's gone. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's not fun. It's not the first time it happened. It happened in the intro. It cut
Yeah.
out then as well. And then it cuts out again, and you think, oh, it's out. So the Dead Metal, just pull it in with ease. It's like pulling a yo-yo. Just pull it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it didn't do it. And then he just kind of pulled him a bit, and then pulled him again, and then they went in the pit 2 seconds after Tantrum. So therefore they went through.
Yeah, I think that was very sort of like, I don't know, really.
It seems a bit unfair because I guess to the
Yeah.
credit, the driver might not have known exactly. But I think the thing in tug of war, you're supposed to be constantly moving. You just stop rather than start pulling again. It's a bit weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
it's like being an ordinary tug of war where you're just like, if you used to just like let go of the rope.
yeah, it's just what's the point?
And let the rest of your team just sort of like lose. That's pretty much it. Well, it's like in a tug of war, you're supposed to keep, steady on the rope. You keep going backwards and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, to stop completely.
I personally, if I was
on either side, it makes no sense.
if I was Peter Gibson personally, I probably would have maybe let Tantrum go through because I would have broken down and I was like, I'm clearly out, but obviously because of bullshit reasons, I got through by 2 seconds. Because obviously, if Dead Metal had pulled as soon as they cut out, they would have lost by like 12 seconds or 10, and that would have been their time, and they would have gone out. And it's just a shame because Tantrum's a much well built robot than Wheel-asaurus is, and obviously Wheel-asaurus got pretty easily defeated in the next round.
Exactly.
So and it cut out again. So.
It just had like a history of cutting out.
It didn't do it. The Gauntlet was the only time it didn't do it.
Yeah, it would have been great to have seen Tantrum, in the semi-finals. It'd been great to have seen him fight.
Yeah, although this is not as bullshit as the sumo in Heat L with Hardrock. My
Well,
God,
well,
3 out of the 5 of those robots didn't even deserve anything. Yeah.
good.
Well, Anderson's in that heat again, so
Oh,
rant.
fuck. You've got like the person who loves to rant about Robot Wars about that. So
That
good
was,
luck.
it was purposely he chose that one in fairness, I think.
That's probably
Yeah,
why
he
he's
chose
trying
it.
to fend off
Although
some.
he has chosen the heat he likes as well, so there you go. He actually likes a heat from this series.
He likes stuff.
It's King Buxton's heat. He quite likes the one because there's not much bullshit in that one.
All right, yeah. I think
Um,
he just hates bullshit.
I think
Well,
he does. I mean, because I think in fairness, all the battles in that heat were pretty decent. But well, it wasn't any like house robot interference that ruined it.
mm,
But actually, there wasn't too much in this one. But the heat final did have a bit of it. We'll get to that.
yeah, a tad.
A tad, but
I'd
it's
say,
part. It's why I'll give a reason later why I'm not bothered about it.
yeah. Same.
But all right, so yeah, so Tantrum unfortunately, regrettably had to go in this stage. And in the first battle, we have Mace against Leviathan. Pretty one-sided fight, this one.
Pretty much,
I
yeah.
mean, Leviathan, you think, oh, maybe have some good pushing power, considering how well it was good in how good it was in the trials. No, Mace gets underneath their massive scope, which isn't up to the ground to begin with,
Mm.
and then push them into house robots. They get, their armor falls off, their chainsaw gets bent to the point where the chain falls off it. So it's just a
Mm.
saw at this point.
It didn't really look like it. From when it was like bending or whatever, it's like that did not look like a chain. So that looked like a, I don't know if you ever like bought the Robot Wars magazines and everything. It's like build your own robot, and there was like little
Like cardboard or something.
controls and stuff like that in there.
Mm.
It was like that.
Pretty
It just,
much.
it just bent.
Pretty much.
I think I still got one of those somewhere.
I might have one or two, but it's yeah. I mean, it was just kind of let's beat up on Leviathan Day.
It was very one-sided. Well, I'm sorry. And the semi-final series one, they didn't have that either.
No,
What,
to it,
Mr. Leebot Pepperbot?
yeah. To its credit, though, both of their robots never broke down. Leviathan was still going
Mm,
okay at the end. It just had its as Jonathan Mears called it, the scalp of it just
yeah.
removed. It was still moving. It looked like someone had amputated, but it was still
Yeah.
going. To its credit, it wasn't like slowing down. It just kind of went, oh, we'll pretty much not much. We can't do much at this point.
The Leebot and Leviathan robots and stuff like that, they were very reliable robots, but they were always beaten by a much superior machine.
I agree. The best robot won in this particular case,
Definitely, yeah.
and yeah, Mace was definitely on them the entire time. And it wasn't only there was a bit of house robot interference, but to their credit, the house robots didn't like flip him over instantly or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
They just attacked him, and Leviathan wasn't gonna. Even if Leviathan had got out of the PPZ, they wouldn't have. They would have just got pushed back in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of mercy points at this point, really, surprisingly. But yeah, a surprise for once, an actually okay-ish fight.
Hmm.
Next one wasn't as interesting, but again, at least it was an obvious winner. Chaos against Wheel-asaurus.
Well, we saw Shud's pickaxe do literally nothing again.
Yeah, just donk, donk against
It was literally, but at least instead of it being sort of like this sort of scratchy axe, and Mortis is taking more damage, dunk.
Yeah,
But
this is another one.
instead it was just sort of like it looked like it wasn't sharp, but it looked like it had some weight to it.
A little bit more. It was doing denting a bit more.
Yeah, it looked like at least it had some weight to it. I mean, it was still known as a pickaxe, so it wasn't like Shunt's, diamond edged axe, but it was still it was better than Series 1's Shunt at least. So I'll take that, but still.
Yeah, I mean, one bit.
JP didn't hype it up as much. I'd say.
No, not as much this time.
It was good.
Actually, it did prove a big flaw with Wheel-asaurus to me. Not only is the fact that it kept cutting out, which it obviously must have done this time.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem I think with Wheel-asaurus, it doesn't have any under armor.
Yeah.
It's like me wearing like a bit of an aluminium plate on my head and saying this is my armor. There's nothing underneath it, and as a result, I feel like that might have affected the electronics slightly. Because I think that when Chaos got underneath it that first hit, it stopped moving. So I think that might have done something underneath me, because I think we see it in the Gauntlet, you see it has nothing underneath, so you definitely can confirm this. And I don't know if that might have affected it or not. But
It
I think
definitely could have. Yeah.
because an axle bot is supposed to be attackable from all sides and armored on all sides, like Stinger is and Nuts is and all that kind of stuff. And here it's just only one half the robot was armored and the other half wasn't. Also, Wheelosaurus, actually, now you think about it, it doesn't have a caster on the top bit. So it could just got pronged on its spikes.
Exactly.
And harder to move. Either
Yeah.
that or it'd be harder for it to move forwards.
Yeah.
and it's you know, as in, it's a very early Axel bot, and obviously Stinger was the one that perfected it. Because there were a few Axel bots in Series 3, Wheel-asaurus and Armageddon, and neither of them did very well either.
All
But
I
to
can
their
say is,
credit, at least it looked up
yeah.
better.
All I can say really is Peter Gibson's not the best at making reliable robots.
No, but he makes a
I
fun,
mean,
he makes an interesting robot at least.
yeah, well, definitely, but you're thinking of Wheel-asaurus and both its series, and I'm thinking more of Sprintfish,
Yeah, I think
from
mate.
Techno Games.
I remember Sprintfish.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it fell over in a sprint.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
God.
But yeah, it was a good run for Wheel-asaurus. A bit lucky in the tug of war,
This
but
is as far as it ever could have gone at most.
exactly. I'd
It's
say
what I
definitely at
expected.
most.
It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, it would have never gotten as far as a heat
Yeah.
semi-final. Heat final, possibly, but
No,
that's
very
really
that's pushing it.
that's only if it was sort of like a really easy heat and it was like,
If it was like Hard Vox Heat,
yeah,
it probably
kind
could have made a heat final in that.
yeah,
But yeah, apart from that, not very likely.
yeah.
But anyway, we have thankfully one of the few times in a heat final where we have the two best robots of the heat make it to the heat final.
Oh
Hooray!
my god!
It's amazing, isn't it? So Mace against Chaos actually fueled a rivalry in Series 3, which got a 1-1 draw.
Mm.
Because we never saw Chaos 2 against Gemini.
That's a shame.
So therefore, we never got to see it. I would have liked that, like a kind of third, final battle.
The old
Chaos
rubber
2 would have
match.
won.
Oh yeah,
Chaos 2
definitely.
would have won, but it would be nice to at least see them, have a go at it.
Yeah, I'll just have a rubber match. Why not?
Yeah, why not? But in this particular case, some people say it's a little bit controversial because Chaos got flipped over by Matilda pretty easily.
Yeah. Mm.
And I have two counter arguments to why I don't think it is as bullshit as something like Napalm versus Demolition Demon or something like that. The first thing is that Mace was the one that instigated the push.
Exactly.
It wasn't like against Pandemonium, for example. Pandemonium just kind of drove in accidentally, tried to get away, then Matilda flipped him over. That's not fair because they kind of just it was sort of it was their own mistake, but at the same time they were trying to get out of it again. This time Mace literally pushed them into Matilda. Matilda just retaliated by flipping at them. But the second thing that doesn't get is the fact that George Francis could have self-righted, but he forgot to put the rounded bit on the back of it, meaning that the robot couldn't self-right.
And it just upended itself.
Yeah, and you can tell in his face that he knew he fucked up at that moment.
Oh, that's
the saddest moments ever.
when his face dropped.
That's so unfortunate.
His hands on the controller just dropped.
Yeah, he just gave up at that point. And I can understand why, because he knew he'd lost it. He couldn't, even if he got flipped over like he did later on, he couldn't pull it back. He got immobilized.
I think he mentioned in the Robot Warriors collection.
Yeah, he did. He mentioned that fact that he
Yeah.
fucked the plastic at the back. And
he was fairly annoyed with himself about it.
I think that's why I went for a CO2 lifter in Series 3, because it's more powerful. It can actually flip the robot like literally on it, up in the air to self-right.
Yeah. I'd say really, when it comes to the whole Matilda thing, really is that you got to think Matilda's a house robot, okay? It has two weapons. It's got its tusks, it's got its chainsaw. If Mace pushed Chaos 2 in there on pushed Chaos in there on purpose, Matilda would have only attacked using what Chaos has pushed onto.
It was pushed onto the tusks. Yeah,
exactly. So it's sort of like Mace pushed Chaos into Matilda. Matilda flipped him. It's like that's just the way it is.
But even if it hadn't been flipped over, it was obvious that Mace was more powerful and able to get underneath Chaos compared to other. I mean, Chaos wasn't able to attack Mace with the same force.
Yeah,
because it was obviously partially because the driving was hard to drive, and partially because it didn't have as much power behind the lifter. Because you could tell it was Mace's was a little bit more. Not they weren't the most powerful lifters in the world, but Mace's was slightly more powerful.
I'd say just when it comes to the heel, whatever, on a neutral standpoint, on the final, the better robot won.
In this particular case, the better robot won. Obviously, in Series 3, things are improved.
Yeah, well, that was a different story altogether.
That was worth it. That was much more. More. Yeah, in this case, Mace deserved to win the heat. It's plain and simple. It was the best controlled, most reliable. It didn't have steering issues like Chaos had. It wasn't unreliable like Wheel-asaurus. It wasn't, it wasn't as frail as Leviathan. It was just the best robot in the heat, really.
Yeah, it was definitely the most, the best sort of performing robot in the heats.
That's
if
true.
You count out obviously Chaos 2's
it still survived the trials.
Yeah, exactly. But they both survived the trials and they both did really well in the trials.
and also they both actually beat their opponent fairly.
Hmm.
Then
But
yeah,
obviously, I'd probably say Mace had the tougher opponent in the semis.
yeah, also because Leviathan actually worked.
Hmm.
That's probably the reason why. Because if Mace hadn't got underneath them, Leviathan could have had a decent push at them.
Exactly.
It just it depends on who got underneath first, really. And obviously in this case, Mace, what Mace did. And even against Chaos, Mace was able to have enough strength to push Chaos into the CPZ without any effort. So it's pretty obvious who was going to win this. To be honest, with you, really, just looking at the sizes and the stats and stuff. Like one was faster, sure, but that was it.
Yeah.
Um,
Really
yeah,
it. I mean,
they are
they
very
were
similar
so
design.
yeah, they were so similar in design
It was
that
just about being just narrowed down to strength and
maneuverability,
maneuverability, flippability.
control.
Yeah, all the standard factors really.
Hmm.
It's sort of like tornado. I don't know, like tornado against storm two.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, storm two is more powerful, so they won. But that was the thing, and it's just a similar case here. Two robots look very similar. It's about the stamina. It's like TR2 against Apollo.
Yeah.
Who has the most stamina? When the two robots are very similar, you've got to take that into account.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, in this particular case, the one with the better stamina and the best overall abilities won, fair and square.
Yeah. You definitely got to think of that
Yeah, so
when
I
it
can
comes to
understand why
rope.
people do think it's bull. I mean, I think because the reason why is a lot of the time the PPZ in Series Two is bullshit in a lot of ways. So whenever someone gets taken up by the House Robots, they go, "Oh, they didn't deserve that." But sometimes it's a bit valid.
I would say that when it comes to that is that then that would mean that every other sort of let's say bullshit decision has got to be contested as widely as this one.
Yeah, this one's not as controversial though. I mean, I think I actually know a few people who say they don't really like this one. But I mean, it's nothing like the Napalm Mortis scandal or
Hmm.
T2 versus Dark Destroyer or something like that, where there is kind of annoyances to it. Well, here it's like it seemed fair to me
Yeah.
because again, George Francis could have prevented this if he had
Hmm.
self-righted. He could have carried on going, and that would have been it. It'd be like Cassius flipped self-right. Okay, carry on. Here it's like no, they didn't, and that even though it's an unfortunate error, it's still his error.
It was definitely in my opinion probably like the one of the not many, I'd say probably count them on one hand,
Hmm.
errors that George Francis ever made in
He's
robot
not
games.
made that many really.
Exactly.
That's probably
So
unfortunately that was his biggest one.
yeah.
That really got him. I mean, obviously there's other areas like not turning on the robot and all that, but his just that simple tiny little bit. It's like Evil Weevil in Series 4.
Mm.
Not charging your battery is quite a big thing. And then obviously it paid the price in that series for obvious reasons because they didn't have any power by the end of it. But yeah, so that's pretty much the heat. Mace won. Mace won quite well, really. Unlike Napalm,
Yeah,
the better
definitely.
robot won. Obviously, Demolition Demon or Pandemonium were better than in that previous heat. Here, or maybe Caliban if they'd done something. But here, yeah, the better robot won very easily. I agree with that.
Definitely, yeah, definitely right.
Do you do ratings at all for episodes, or are you not?
Not really. I
Nah,
mean,
I never done it because I've never really. I know Anton doesn't, but I'm not really that bothered because I find ratings a bit arbitrary.
well, yeah, like for example, like a lot of people's rating system, you
Like
could have.
7 and 8 aren't much different to me.
Well, yeah, but then you could also say, like, for example, a 7 and 8. It was a good heat, and then people will go, "Oh, well, but
It's not a
we
9.
we we used to like video game kind of ratings where a 7 and 8 is terrible."
Yeah, that's average to some people.
Yeah, it's
Even though
like
5 is average, but whatever.
yeah, a 5 is supposed to be average.
5 is the most boring you could get.
Yeah,
And
but
yeah,
no, if anyone gets a 5 and it's like, what is it really that bad? And it's like, no, it's average.
yeah,
Like, what'd you give it a 5? You give it a 7 if it was
it's a
average.
split down the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
but people don't know math nowadays.
yeah.
They don't know math.
Oh god. But yeah, so we have two semi-finalists into the semi-final so far. We have Napalm,
How?
yay. That's how, and thankfully Mace. Okay, I'm fine with that. In the next heat, we have the infamous Mortis are back because we love seeing the boys from Cambridge, and this is their most successful series.
Hmm.
But we're probably their least impressive-looking robot.
Yeah.
It's weird, like it's a paradox. Like it looks too boxy for my liking. But it was most successful, even if the track kept falling off.
Yeah. It was
We have future Supernova, You won't believe it by looking at it, but that is Supernova in the making.
Yeah.
Never thought you'd see that in your life. Uh, we have Team ISIS, not the ones we're thinking of.
Oh, please no.
Return of Team ISIS, because they had Scarab, and now they have this thing. They butchered Scarab and made this thing instead.
Hacked Scarab.
Hacked Scarab, definitely. We have Dreadnought, more reliable, but yet simple errors cost you quite badly.
Still not the best.
Still not the best, no. Best
No.
performing, but still no. Sorry. Then oh yeah, we have the robot that can't go up a ramp. Well done. And one that actually it looks nice.
Oh, what you say about that?
It looks nice, but that's it.
Mm.
and then oh, was that Oliver Steeples? Bye. That was his run in this series. Oh, we'll see you for the special at the end, but that's it.
Oh, great.
Bye, your moving video cassette recorder, as JP calls it. Biohazard rip-off, anyone?
Ooh.
It's true. I mean, Vector of Armageddon was La Machine. This thing is Biohazard.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not harsh by saying that. It is basically Biohazard, but worse in pretty much every way.
Yeah, at least the father of a character of Eternal Champion challenging the Dark Side's in it, which is Ramses II.
That's true, actually. Yes, that's pretty cool. Ramses II, yeah, butchered. You just butchered Scarab for that one, I think. Same
so.
weapon.
Yeah.
More reliable somehow. Look at how that works. still as slow as ever. But yeah, that's what I'm with Sam for that next heat. Hopefully, I think he said he's not too sure, but he should be, which would be good.
Right.
And I don't know. You might be joining me for. I know you definitely joining me for Cassius's heat, but I don't know if you'll be joining any of those. That can be discussed later, obviously.
That will be discussed later, I believe.
Of course. But yes, that was Heat B. A pretty good. Should have been the first heat of the series. That was way better heat. There was less bullshit. You know, the robots were actually functioning for the most part. All of them were actually reliable.
Didn't win.
And Napalm didn't win because Mace won, thankfully. So yes, that's
now the semi-finals are taking shape with good robots.
Yes. Actually, then the next 4 robots are the best robots in the semi-finals.
Well, there you go. They looked at Napalm and just thought, crap.
The series is going to get slightly better with the robots that get through when Mace is actually the least good out of the ones left to go, excluding Napalm.
Exactly.
So that can only be up from there.
Yeah.
But then you forget that Elvis is in a few heats away.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And Pain and Party and Shot do not exist.
Exactly.
They never existed.
Never existed.
But yeah, so
neither did Napalm's victory in Series 2.
No, it didn't. Luckily, they get their arse handed to them in the next one.
Woo!
Controversially, but they get their arse handed to them.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It happened. Doesn't matter. So yeah, that's the end of the review. I think. Then I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
I'm Masterath, and I'll see you guys next time, I guess. Woo!
See you later then.